clock will call to order. If you'd please join us in prayer and pledge.
If you'll please allow me to, Thursday is the beginning of the baseball season, and Dave Dane, and Ernie Harwell already started the season with reading Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verses 11 and 12. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers appear on the earth, the time of the singing of the birds is come, and the voice of the turtle is heard in our land. Dear Lord Jesus, we thank you again for this day when we can come and gather together, citizens of the county, joined with different opinions. May you give us guidance and direction in the decisions that we make. May they be the best for the county, and may your will be done. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen. Would you join me in a pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as a public announcement, the meeting is being recorded. It is not being live streamed because of the technical changes here, but it will be downloaded to the county's YouTube page either later today or tomorrow. So, just as a general public announcement. Public comment: a member of the public may address the board after receiving recognition from the chairperson and giving his or her name. Public comment shall be limited to a period set aside at each meeting for such purpose. Each speaker shall have the floor for no longer than 5 minutes unless the board grants an extension. Board of Commissioner Rules of Procedures and Bylaws 5.13-3. We also ask you be respectful. Your name, please.
Good morning. My name is Susan Heath, and my husband Rick Heath and I are here this morning. We are.
Commissioner Wiley, would you keep your mic on so that can be picked up on the recording?
Okay, very good, thank you. Go ahead, please. We're not used to this setup, but please continue.
As I said, Susan Heath, my husband Rick Heath and I are here. We're from Litchfield. Mr. Collins is our District 2 Commissioner. But we're actually here to speak to all of you today. You, Mr. Collins, you, Mr. Leininger, you, Mr. Benzig, and you, Mr. Ingalls, as well as you, Mr. Wiley, especially you, Mr. Wiley. As chairman of this board, you've warned public speakers to be respectful this morning. At previous meetings, you told us no name calling. I agree with that, but I respectfully wonder if you shouldn't perhaps heed your own warning.
Bravo.
We have heard, perhaps most of us have heard, listened to your comments on the Lifeways Board meeting regarding the Lifeways bond and the Hillsdale opposition. And I quote you, Mr. Wiley, "It's just a small percentage of Hillsdale County that is being belligerent, a small percentage that have squawked." I guess that makes me one of the few, the belligerent, the few who have squawked. Actually, I'm a senior citizen. I've worked hard all my life, saved as much as I could, and recently retired on a small fixed income. I was able to do this because I had fiscal responsibility. And just like Mr. Collins, the first time I spoke to you, I appreciate that you don't have the courage to even look at me. I was able to do my fiscal responsibility because I paid attention to what I earned and I paid attention to what I spent. Do you understand the words, Mr. Wiley, fiscal responsibility? It means I was careful with both my income and my expenses. I avoided that which I could not afford. And I paid close attention to that which was happening all around me. Are you paying attention to what is all around you, sir? Are you able to do fiscal responsibility for the county, Mr. Wiley? I have to wonder. If we, all of us here, are indeed just a belligerent few squawking folks, why are you, Mr. Collins, and you, Mr. Leininger, and you, Mr. Wiley, so opposed, so afraid to let the whole Hillsdale County electorate, your electorate, vote on such a ballot request? In the meantime, I'm over here, part of a proud few, the belligerent few, the squawkers. And I am raising my voice to be heard, but I'll try not to squawk. I hope you will open your eyes, open your ears, open your hearts and your minds. For the record, Rick and I are, and probably many here today are, opposed to the Lifeways bond in any amount without, at minimum, a vote of the whole county, your people, your constituents, we the people. Last, we're also opposed, Mr. Collins, to your appointment to the Lifeways Board. We understand that the county may need representative to the Lifeways Board. We understand that. Mr. Wiley is on. That should be at maximum, because how can he who seems to have difficulty attending to two masters, Lifeways in the county, we are his employer. How are you going to do that? Thank you.
Your name, please?
Jonathan Meckel. I live in the city of Hillsdale. I'm here to voice opposition to the Lifeways bond. Honestly, it's been a little frustrating seeing some of the public dialogue on this. I think there's the angle that I'd really like to focus on is I know Lifeways has a millage that's probably up for renewal in 2028, is my understanding. Maybe that's wrong. And I know, Mr. Wiley, you've mentioned the belligerent view, or perhaps the basket of deplorables would be a better term. I know you've talked about how you think that it's not a representative sample that's showing up to these meetings here today. But I think you're on thin ice, and I think you guys should understand that, because if this is representative of the public opinion about Lifeways, then that should be concerning to you if you guys are going to look to put this millage on the ballot for renewal. Because I'd be curious to hear from anybody else who comes up to the podium, like what do we think? Do we want to give Lifeways 10 more years of our tax dollars? Because we've heard about all the savings that we're going to realize if this bond is actually issued, but is that, what if that savings were actually just like, let's vote down their millage so that we pay less in our property taxes? Like, is that the feeling? And now I think, maybe you guys could say something like, that's the people's fault. If the people decide not to, vote the millage through, then that's just their fault. And I don't know, to be honest, that attitude's kind of frustrating to me, because that's just like a very ivory tower approach to politics, where it's like, you guys are up here and you make the decisions, and if people do the wrong thing down here, then, there's just, then that's their fault. So I think that's really frustrating. I think it's a bad idea to issue the bond, because I think if you guys care about fiscal responsibility, then you shouldn't make a decision that could potentially lead the public opinion to rejecting this funding if that's something that you really care about. And there's a lot of issues too with the millage that I think have been discussed. Is the funding actually being used for the purpose that it was discussed for, that it was originally proposed for? So I don't have anything really to say that beyond what's already been said apart from that. But I think that's one thing you all should really keep in mind, that if you think this millage is important, if you think that Lifeways is a good organization that's going to use our taxpayer funds wisely, don't back this bond. because I think that's probably more likely to push the public towards, turning down the millage of the ballot box. And if that's not an outcome that you want to see, then maybe you should reconsider that. So, and again, curious to hear from anybody else who wants to comment about, are you going to vote for the millage or not when it comes up in a couple of years. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good morning, and thank you for this opportunity. First, I want to thank Mr. Ingles and Mr. Benzing to listening to the voters and representing us. Yes.
Your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Jean Heisey. I live in the 4th Ward.
Thank you.
About 6 years ago, we left Illinois. We knew about Hillsdale. We had family who attended here, but we left Illinois because of the tyranny. Illinois is probably one of the most corrupt states in the United States. But what is shocking is that when we come here, and we have some of the same attitude. 2,400 people plus signed a petition requesting that this question be on the ballot. So you could see, we could see, what does the community really want to take a risk in? Mr. Leininger, originally you voted with us, and then you changed your mind. There's a word for that. Am I correct on that you originally voted in support of putting it on the ballot? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
It was Collins who flipped his vote. I'm not gonna answer you.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was you, Mr. I'm sorry. Forgive me for that mistake. I'm very sorry. This is the definition of an oppressive or unjust government is that of tyranny. That comes from the American Heritage Dictionary. And I see this as tyranny, as we experienced in Illinois, that our representatives did not and would not represent what the voters, the taxpayers wanted their representation to do. And I ask you to seriously consider morally, spiritually, and as a community, what your obligations are. Thank you.
Next.
Commissioners, my name is Alan Russell, and I'm a resident of Jonesville, lifelong resident of Hillsdale County. I'm here today to demand that you vote no on co-signing a $15.5 million loan for Lifeways. We are completely past the point of polite disagreement. Acting as a guarantor for this massive loan isn't just a bad financial decision, it is a reckless gamble with taxpayer money and a direct insult to the voters of Hillsdale County. Any basic financial advisor will tell you, never co-sign a loan unless you are fully prepared to make the payments yourself. Plot twist, I am a financial advisor, and I'm giving a nickel's worth of free advice. Vote no, or put it on the ballot to allow the citizens to make the choice. You're playing Russian roulette with a general fund. Furthermore, we are being asked to guarantee this debt for an agency. If Lifeways can afford top-tier corporate administrative salaries, they should be able to secure and back their own commercial loan. We should not be acting as a financial safety net for a separate entity while our own sheriff's department, roads, overcrowded jails are struggling for funding. But with this absolutely unacceptable is your blatant disregard for the voters. Thousands of citizens signed a petition demanding a vote. By reversing course and stripping the public of the right to decide whether we want to co-sign this debt, you are telling the taxpayers you don't care what they think. Let me ask you this. If backing this loan is such a safe, responsible bet, why are you terrified to put it on the ballot? Shoving a multi-decade debt guarantee down our throats behind closed door isn't leadership. It's a betrayal of public trust. You are treating the taxpayers like a rich uncle, but refusing to let us read the contract before you sign its name. Lifeways is a separate entity. If you want a new building, if they want a new building, let them go to the bank, stand on their own 2 feet without using Hillsdale County as their collateral. Do not tie the financial noose of a $15.5 million guarantee around the neck of this county. We are watching closely how every single one of the votes tonight or today, and we will remember who protected us and who sold us out when election season comes around. You absolutely must be ignorant to the fact or don't care about your seat in the current position. And I wouldn't blame you. I'd be wanting to get out too if I was a part of this. Okay, I can't wrap my head around this. It is the simplest thing in the world. I didn't have one pushback. I had folks sign the petition. And this is not to denigrate, Lifeways or the services they provide. Listen, let them go do it. Don't get in their way. If you want to fund a nonprofit, Hillsdale College wants Hillsdale County to back the next building they produce. Can you imagine that? What kind of uproar we'd hear? Why don't we back the Kiefer House and that project? Put the taxpayers' money behind that. I yield.
Joseph Hendy, 181 Rio Street. Morning, Commissioners. I would like to speak on the newly discovered misappropriations. Mr. Wiley and Bruce Caswell have betrayed the trust of the voters by misappropriating funds allocated to Lifeways for purposes other than those approved by the voters. The ballot language is specific and sacred to the voters. You and others sold this millage to the voters, saying it was for the uninsured or underinsured. Not only that, Lifeways has been denying services to residents of this county. I've made several complaints to this board, including you, Commissioner Leiniger. On top of that, we find out you are getting pensions that should be going to services. Lifeways has admitted that the organization is not using Hillsdale County millage dollars to pay for services or properly, and as originally promised. This is a serious matter and it demands immediate correction. I'm asking you to take responsibility, rectify the situation, including returning improperly used funds. I would also read Act 94 of 1929, misappropriation of public funds. Our local government is legally bound to use the funds according to the language presented to the voters. Anything else is unlawful. If this issue is ignored by you or the board, I will join with other concerned residents to pursue legal action and seek an injunction against this board and any other legal remedy. Let me be clear. I will not support any further Lifeways millage under these circumstances. The current bond issue should be placed on hold immediately. The millage halted and taxpayers refunded. Misappropriation of public funds is not just a policy failure, it's a violation of law. Lifeways has acknowledged this, and so has Bruce Caswell. Lifeways failed to tell you it could no longer spend the money as promised. They violated the ballot language. Finally, Mr. Wiley, these actions have caused significant harm to this community and its residents, and the public deserves accountability and competent leadership. We demand it. Thank you.
is Thompson. I have a family member who seeks treatment, who is treated at Lifeways. When I take her to the Lifeways building for her appointments, as we walk down the corridors, 80% of the rooms in that building are empty. And that's all I have to say.
Good morning. It's a tough time to be a Hillsdale County Board of Commissioner. My name is Luke Griswack. I live in Jonesville, District 2. Mr. Collins, you are my county commissioner. This is my first time attending a Hillsdale County Commissioners meeting. And before I begin, to quote Commissioner Wiley, I am here today, like many of my neighbors, to squawk at the board. Before I get to squawking, a bit of background about myself. I started my professional career in the Michigan House of Representatives for 4 years. My job was to advise politicians on how best to serve their constituents and the state. I was paid good money for this work, but today I'm going to give you guys advice for free. It's been strange following this issue. It just doesn't really seem to make sense. And these comments are more directed at the members of the board who are dead set on this bond. You guys remind me of kamikaze pilots. I don't really understand what's in it for you, but you seem to be hell-bent on your own destruction. So like I said, I'm here to give advice. I wish I could have delivered this advice before you started this crusade to give Lifeways a $15,500,000 bond. I wish I was there when you decided to ignore the fact that no bank in the county would loan this money to Lifeways. I wish I was there when you ignored the public outcry about this bond and tried to shove it through. And I wish I was there last time when you decided to go back on your word and take it off the ballot last month. But I wasn't there, so you did not get my advice. But I have good news for you, friends. You can get out of this pickle. You can turn this around. Let me first explain why everyone is so angry, because you don't seem to understand. Then I'll tell you what you should do now and what you can do to restore the public's trust in your leadership. First, if it isn't obvious, everyone is angry because no one trusts you anymore. Not sure if you understand what optics are, but let me give you a crash course. Optics are how something is perceived, and in politics, perception is more important than truth. You may have thought when you agreed to give Lifeways this bond, Mr. Chair, that you were doing the public a service by expanding access to mental health care in Hillsdale County. But, Mr. Chair, you sit on the board of Lifeways, so it doesn't look like you're serving the public. In fact, it looks like you're serving yourself and your friends at Lifeways. That's optics. And Mr. Collins, you were nominated to that board. You may have thought this was appropriate due to your long tenure of public service and familiarity with mental health issues in the county. But your nomination was coupled with your decision to take the bond off the August ballot. To many in this room and throughout the county, that looks like a quid pro quo, more than it does a prudential decision on board governance. That is optics. Gentlemen, the optics are bad. Here's how to fix it. Vote to keep the bond on the ballot. Excuse me. Flip my page. Oh boy. I'm not nervous, I promise. That's why everyone is here today. That's why you were shut down last meeting. And that's why everyone gathered in early February. In fact, keeping the bond on the ballot is your only option. If you take the bond off the ballot, as you seem intent to do, you'll be unable to govern the county. Again, to quote the chair, a small percentage of your neighbors will be here to squawk at you every meeting, every month, everywhere you go. Gentlemen, this problem is not going away. And you may think, as we learned recently, well, since Lifeways told us they no longer want the bond on the ballot, they no longer want the bond from the county, we can just kill it, we just not do it. But you can't do that. Why? Like I said, nobody trusts you anymore. If you take it off the ballot today, maybe you'll if you decide not to vote on it today, maybe you'll vote on it another time when tensions have cooled. Which brings me to my last piece of advice. Commissioners Wiley, Collins, Leininger, I'm afraid you have lost the trust of the voters, of your neighbors, and of the county. To restore that trust, today, after you vote to keep the bond on the ballot, I urge the three of you to resign immediately. The devotion this board has towards Lifeways, one of a dozen public services and hundreds of charities that serves Hillsdale County, boggles the mind. Maybe you started down this road with good intentions, but frankly the ship has sailed. Your political career is over, and you have sacrificed everything for nothing. So please, vote to keep the bond on the ballot. Resign immediately, and let the commissioners, who actually represent their neighbors, put each of your seats on the ballot so this county can get the representation it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth Schlueter. I'm in Doug's ward down the street.
Would you please say your name again?
Elizabeth Schlueter.
Thank you.
My family and I are against putting the county's assets at risk for this bond. However, I'd like to argue that you have nothing to lose whether you're for the bond or not by leaving it on the ballot, which is what we would strongly prefer. If in fact Chairman Wiley is correct that a majority of the citizens do support this bond, then putting it on the ballot will only vindicate and strengthen your position. However, if it's revealed that this bond is opposed, that the majority of the citizens think it's too great a risk for the county, you will have been saved from going against a strong majority of your own constituents. So leaving it on the ballot is fiscally, politically, and I think representationally a smart move. I urge you to do it. Thank you.
Ms. Schlueter, please spell her name correctly. Schlueter, for the press. I'm David Hambleton, Hambleton. Gentlemen, I'm here to work with you. I really am. You are our representative body at this point, to this point. But in fact, the young man is right. The optic is horrific. The optic says that there are integrity issues on this board, and there are people on this board that have put a long, long time and a lot of effort into trying to do the right thing. And the right thing here is to blow this bond up. Lifeways doesn't want you to push it anymore. We never wanted you to push it. And we the people are here, and I'm glad to see so many young working folks here in the middle of a work day. Again, we've interrupted our work days to come and show you, not just to write you notes because they don't go far, except, Doug, thank you for the replies. I appreciate that. Gentlemen, please, put this thing to bed and walk away from it and hold your head up for a change where you can look at your constituents. We, the people, don't want this bond. We want a responsible CMH that we can hold responsible. You, who are on the board and invited to the board of that CMH, please pay attention. We want a responsible CMH that knows Hillsdale and pays attention to Hillsdale's special character as opposed to Jackson. I moved my family to Hillsdale, not to Jackson. I moved my family to Hillsdale, not to Grand Rapids or Lansing. I moved them out of the Beltway. I got them here to Hillsdale. And if that doesn't speak enough to you, then take another read at what the College on the Hill stands for and what we the people believe in. I moved 4 generations of my family here because we believe in things like honor and integrity. And I believe that you do too. Show us, please.
Well spoken, and other people who spoke today, well spoken. My name is Lawrence Peter, and I know what your name is. I live in District 2. I know all your names. We know all your names. We know what you've said. And this is what I want to say. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as do we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever.
Amen.
Now, what is evil? You know, what is evil? I've always been taught, do not blame someone's actions on evil when it can be explained by incompetence. But I ask you, when we say to you once, when we say to you twice, when we say to you thousands of times through signatures, and a dozen meetings almost now, don't do this. Let us vote on it. Is that incompetence or is that mendacious? I think it's evil. And I think that what you're propagating on this community is evil writ large. You know, doing the right thing is the right thing to do, and this is not the right thing. You do not have the consent of the governed.
Yes.
If you refuse to put this to a bond issue, you are forcing this through. Now, my country, my county, 'tis thee, a sweet land of liberty, from sea to shining sea, land of pilgrim's pride, land where my forefathers died. From every hillside, let freedom ring. Gentlemen, let freedom ring. Engage the people that you're here to represent. Do not do the evil thing. It's a sad, sad thing you do. I'll tell you what, I like listening to WCSR. I don't know if you do. Listen to the 6 o'clock news report every morning. I was listening today. They told about this meeting coming up. And you know, the first song they played reminded me of what the conclusion will be if you decide to vote for this bond without putting it to a vote. Welcome to the jungle. I've got your number, and your number, and your number. You know what the right thing to do is, and you better do it. Because doing the right thing is the right thing to do.
Good morning. My name is Robert Avalent. Thank you for hearing our public comments today, Commissioners. I'm a retired former business owner and have been a resident of Hillsdale for many years. I will be quoting several sources today, and I'm happy to provide that info to whoever would like it. First, a word about my general support of Lifeways. I believe Lifeways and its network of partners in our area are necessary. They provide an essential service, and I am in favor of supporting them and paying them the millage that's been agreed to. That said, now I'd like to take a good hard look under the hood of the actual business side. As a backdrop to my comments today, under its Transparency tab on Lifeway's website, it states this: at its core, Lifeways intends to establish trust and goodwill by building and preserving our reputation for integrity, high ethical standards, and accountability through open and honest communication. I'll be speaking directly to that transparency creed today. Lifeways has a board of directors of which Mr. Mark Wiley is also the chair and has been since 2020. Under his leadership, the organization has expanded and grown. Specifically, in 2021, he oversaw the expansion of operations with a new designation. Lifeways became a certified community behavioral health clinic, which apparently dictated new rules regarding the usage of the approved millage funds without consent of the people. Lifeways then changed its financing model in accordance with its growing corporate structure. This per board member Earl Poleski at a recent official meeting. When you change your financing model, that's business speak for they altered their billing practices. More on that in a moment. Board member Bruce Caswell voiced concern about this possible deception since the 2018 millage was sold to the public as something that would cover the cost of mental health care for, quote, anybody that walked in the building. He asked a question every one of us should be asking. When and if I go there to get help, why is the mental health money not covering whatever is not covered by my insurance company? The answer? Billing practices. For the last 5 years, under your leadership, Mr. Wiley, Lifeways has billed non-Medicaid customers according to what they can pay on a sliding scale, as determined by the insurance carrier. And get this, who else gets to decide? Lifeways gets to decide what gets billed. Inside job, no? So not only did the rules change in the middle of the game so that Lifeways could expand their business, they began pursuing payment from the very people the millage was supposed to stand in the gap for. And who knew? From my viewpoint, I'm sad to say, Lifeways executed their plan in secret and operated unethically and dishonestly. They have failed to live up to their own transparency creed. During the March 10th meeting, Mr. Caswell expressed concern regarding any future millage renewal and simultaneously disclosed that the new billing scheme was not widely understood. Quote, there's a lot of people, once this is understood, are never going to vote for the mental health millage again. It was sold that it would cover everyone. Now it's not being instituted that way. To that I say thank you, Mr. Caswell. Newly appointed Lifeway's CEO, Cassandra Watson, admitted that the terms under which the millage was advertised no longer apply. Quote, it is a rule that we must charge individuals for their ability to pay. Vice Chair Ray Snell's comment to that is that the current billing model just makes sense. It may, but without transparency, is it really legit?
Yeah.
Then it hit me. This bond issue is about many things: real estate, maybe power, maybe leverage, hedging, financing. But the key to all this, I believe, is about Lifeway's long-term survival. So let's think this through. As it stands, if the building bond issue, for whatever amount, is brought before the voters on the ballot, it will most certainly be defeated. The commissioners all know this, I'm sure.
Your 5 minutes are up, sir.
Will you grab me a moment longer?
No, sir. We have too many people that wish to speak. Next, please.
Morning. My name is Ashley Risher, and I live in District 2. Commissioners Leininger and Wiley, I want to thank you for taking the time to actually send a reply to my emails. I appreciate that you did this because it appears my own commissioner couldn't be bothered to do so. Mr. Leininger, I appreciate your comprehensive reply as it helped me understand things from your perspective. I know you stated that you had zero fear in issuing this bond and that Lifeways wouldn't miss a payment, but it was also reassuring to hear that you also understand the risks involved. As you said, quote, I will say if I was a banker, I would not lend to Lifeways directly because the way Lifeways was formed and how it can be dissolved. Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners could vote to terminate our interlocal agreement with Jackson County, and 1 year later, Lifeways ceases to exist, end quote. I reviewed the budget economic outlook document that you sent. While overall Medicaid funding is proposed or projected to increase, it appears that the 2025 Reconciliation Act creates some significant obstacles. It is expected to reduce nationwide Medicaid enrollment by 13 million people by 2035 through stricter eligibility reviews, more frequent redeterminations, and other barriers. Even a 10 to 20% drop in clients could mean millions in lost revenue, which would affect their ability to make these payments. The new law also limits provider taxes and direct payments, two tools Michigan uses to bring in extra federal money. This means there will be less total money in the pot from Medicaid. On top of that, more frequent eligibility redeterminations and work requirement paperwork mean extra administration burden and financial strain. Although it is encouraging to hear that you do utilize supporting the existing courthouse to its full potential as a better alternative than 25 Care Drive for the district court. Many residents agree this would allow the county to save money by moving the district court to the current courthouse and be able to save money for any renovations down the line should we still continue to move to Care Drive. But it would also give Lifeways more time to produce or to procure financial procure their own financing, as Ed Woods urged the March 10th board meeting, in an effort to prevent any misinformation. I will allow him to.
It's just time to cut all that loose, and I would ask the staff and the executive team to really lean into private funding. It's just not worth it. The reputation of the organization is being harmed by all this.
Commissioner Riley, I would also like to thank you for answering a few of my questions as well. In regards to whether the bond would affect our taxes or not, you stated, and I brought a copy of the email just so I didn't misquote you, quote, another incorrect statement is that it will increase my taxes. The only way that will happen is if Lifeways were to default, end quote. While bond counsel did confirm through Lifeways, while bond counsel did confirm that the county will be liable if Lifeways defaulted, I wasn't sure exactly if a default would in fact affect our property taxes, which now we know is a possibility. Another item you clarified in your email was whether both you being on the board of Lifeways and the commissioner board are the conflict of interest. Both you and soon-to-be Commissioner Collins, both will be on this board. You stated the AG's opinion was that it wasn't a conflict of interest. However, as was stated earlier regarding optics, myself and many other people still believe there's concern, and we aren't the only ones. In an email from Mary Beth Leonard sent on January 8th, 2026, it was recommended that you offer to recuse yourself from voting on the bond to avoid any perceived conflict. The same recommendation would apply to Mr. Collins, as he changed his vote mere weeks before it was set to be appointed, or before he was set to be appointed to the Lifeways board. And his lack of response regarding this issue only leaves us to believe that the two things can't be just a mere coincidence. Recusing yourselves from voting would still leave a quorum, as there would still be 3 to vote, and it would be a prudent step in maintaining public trust. You also stated, when I asked about your name calling, you stated, quote, I have never, and whomever told you that is telling a story.
Respectfully disagree with you because it's a small percentage of Hillsdale County that's being belligerent. It's a small percentage, isn't it? Small percentage.
Is that not you at the November 10th Lifeways board meeting in response to fellow board member Earl Pileski? Commissioner Collins, you stated to the Homer Index that there is, quote, some things going on behind the scenes that you can't legally talk about. I think we understand that there are certain things that can't be disclosed to the public. However, your constituents should not have to beg you for a response.
Actually, that's your 5 minutes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
My name is Alex T. and I live in Ward 1. I was really interested in hearing what Mr. Hadwin had to say and wanted to hear him finish, but since you weren't willing, Mr. Wiley, to grant him a little bit more time, I figured I'd pick up where he left off.
Yeah.
Then it hit me. This bond issue is about many things: real estate, power, leverage, hedging, financing. But the key to all of this is definitely about Lifeways' long-term survival. Let's think this through. As it stands, if the building bond issue for whatever amount is brought before the voters on the ballot, it will most certainly be defeated. The commissioners all know this. However, if Mr. Wiley successfully works his Lifeways benefiting plan on the Hillsdale County Board of Commissioners to pass the $15.5 million bond on a vote only amongst themselves, he bypasses the public vote and gains the leverage to pass every millage for the duration of the bond. Lifeways will be assured of passing millage after millage and ensuring their survival for a very long time. Mr. Wiley and those that agree with him will have successfully duped us. If the building is built and they don't get their future millage requests, the citizens of this county stand to suffer the balance of the bond, plus whatever millions are due in debt service. That could be a very large number. 20 million, 25 million. Nobody wants to talk about that. Plus, the county will be stuck finding new tenants for the empty building. This is why no commercial bank wants to touch this. This is why Lifeways is trying so desperately to skip the voters. They will have us over a barrel, a big barrel. So, Mr. Wiley, I have two things for you. If what I am asserting is not plausible or true, please make your case openly, honestly, and transparently, as I'm sure everyone here would love to hear it. And if you believe what you've said about the small percentage of county residents who are belligerent and squawking that are opposed to a commissioner-only vote, then you should have no objection to keeping the bond issue on the ballot to be passed easily by the overwhelming support you claim to have. To Mr. Leininger and Collins, I have suggestions for both of you. Disassociate yourself now from the schemes of your wily, double-minded chairman. That was really good. Vote to keep the bond issue on the ballot, or, better yet, make a motion to dismiss the bond altogether so you don't expose yourself to unnecessary ridicule and the voters to a waste of their trust in your stewardship. Give Lifeways a chance to live up to their transparency creed and survive on the trust of the people they serve. Edward Woods, Lifeway's most experienced board member of 37 years, suggested Lifeways pursue private funding for the building. I think that's a better idea. The belligerent, squawking voters of Hillsdale County are watching what you do next. Thanks.
District 1, man, you really stepped in it with your comments at the Lifeways board meeting. That's bad. Although very revealing, I think. It really reveals how you really think about your constituents. So I thank you, actually, for making those comments. So I'm here, once again, like everyone else, to speak on the issue of Mark Wiley's corruption in trying to ram through this Lifeways building bond. Over the past year, and certainly over the past month, this board has received more engagement with the public than probably, I would guess, any other county commission in the state. And one might see this as something to be celebrated, but I don't. I don't celebrate it. Because what it shows me is that the people's representatives aren't doing their job. Your job is to represent the interests of your constituents. But you stubbornly refuse to do that job. In fact, all the evidence suggests that you in fact hate that job. You pretend instead that your job is to hand out taxpayer money to your friends. You see no problem with this because, in fact, you despise the taxpayers. You're annoyed that they keep showing up to your clubhouse meetings, that they talk about you online, that they pay attention to what you say, that they've been emailing you, and that they don't think the same way as your friends at Lifeways. But no matter how much you wish in your heart of hearts, Mr. Wiley, that your only constituents were your friends at Lifeways, the cold, hard truth is that your constituents, your real constituents, are here in this room, even though you're doing your best not to look at them. But try as you might, we're not going anywhere. We all learned this week, that more than one member of the Lifeways board has counseled to drop the building project entirely because, as my friend alluded to, they understand optics, unlike this board. The people of the community clearly don't want it. It seems the Lifeways board, to put it another way, a private organization, is more receptive to public opinion than the people's actual elected representatives. In that meeting, Mr. Wiley, you responded by saying the opposition was only a small minority. As far as I can tell, by all indications, this is like a 90-10 issue, maybe more. But perhaps you're right. And if you are right, as Mr. Schluter mentioned, then you should have no problem with keeping this on the ballot. The fact that you don't want to keep it on the ballot shows that, of course, you don't believe what you're saying. Regardless, I'm curious to know on what basis you believe that opposition constitutes a small minority. How many emails have you received stating their support for this body to remove the Lifeways bond issue from the August ballot? The Lifeways people up in Jackson aren't the only ones with better instincts than our commissioners here. State Senators Joe Bellino and Jonathan Lindsay both came out in support of keeping this issue on the ballot. Mr. Leininger, you're the chair of the Hillsdale GOP. I'm genuinely curious to know why you disagree with the county's 2 elected representatives in the state Senate.
The fake GOP.
And by the way, these questions, so my question to you, Mr. Leininger, my question to you, Mr. Wiley, just now, these aren't rhetorical. I'm actually willing to hear your answers right now. I'll use the rest of my time. Why do you think that this is a small minority who's opposed to this? Why do you think, Mr. Leininger, that you know better than the state senators?
I'll remind everyone that our board rule states that we don't engage during public comment.
You don't engage, period.
Yeah, you don't engage, period. I mean, you've refused to offer justification to everyone at multiple different meetings. You won't say anything. And yet you'll hide behind the board rules not to be able to respond to my questions. I hope you respond to my question seriously in discussion. Why do you think this is a small minority issue? And I'd encourage any other commissioners to press you on this, Mr. Wiley, to bring this up. There should be a real debate. You've refused debate. You've closed down debate. You insist on holding your meetings during a work day, so that anyone who isn't retired has to make a sacrifice to come here to be able to speak their mind. Yeah. It's absurd. You hate representative government. You don't want any part of it. You wish everyone would go away. We're not going away.
Here. Yeah.
Your silence is deafening. Your willingness to hide behind rules is very telling. You've demonstrated right now your contempt for your constituents. You don't feel you owe them an explanation for anything. And you consider their demand for an explanation to be an annoyance, rather than your civic duty. Mr. Collins, I beg you, don't enter into a corrupt bargain with these two by doing their bidding in return for a seat on the Lifeways board, no matter how much you think Lifeways does good work, and that's fine. But this is corrupt, this is pathetic. Don't side with them. I urge you instead, sir, to find within yourself the honor and integrity you showed last July, and the people, I promise, will thank you for it.
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Christina Bruns, a belligerent citizen of Hillsdale County, District 1. It is spring break. This is the 5th or even 6th time many of us have set aside work and personal commitments to show up and tell you that we do not want this bond. It feels like you are waging a war of attrition, hoping that if you just drag this out long enough and make it hard enough, we will give up. But I speak for many of us who are here today and many who couldn't be. We refuse to give up. We refuse to quit fighting.
Yeah.
I owe it to my 5 children, the ones who will be here long after these policies have been enacted. The ones who will bear the burden for the decisions you make today. It is time for you to end this, to take this bond off the table and vote it down for good. These people don't want it, and we have told you so overwhelmingly now for a year. We squawked so loudly that even the Lifeways board heard us. Their recommendation last week was that you drop the bond. Mr. Wiley, I hope you've shared that information with your fellow commissioners, since we've shared it with more than 9,000 people on Facebook and Comment.
What?
You have no idea the sleeping giant you have awakened. We, the belligerent, will not stop fighting. We will not be silenced. We are motivated by something far greater than board positions and retirement accounts. Our children's well-being. Thank you.
Is there anyone else, please?
Morning. My name's Francis Ostendard. I live here in Hillsdale, actually Cambria County. I'd just like to say that I think you're making a big mistake by doing this. You're getting paid. You're using FRNs. You're using debt. You're going to put the whole town in debt. When I was growing up, when I went to get loans or buy a car, a bank would always check me out, and I'd always have to prove myself, unfortunately. But my wife and I always tried to pay our debts properly. So to ask us to take on this debt for this organization, who it sounds like it's a little shaky, is overwhelming. It's unbelievable. I also want to say that I'm proud of everybody in here for coming in and doing this, because it seems like we don't have that in this country as much anymore. I'm glad that you did this.
Amen.
And I want you to realize that we can stop doing this. We have to stop this. We got to start caring about each other.
Yes.
Our government, as good as it's been, is now motivated to taking away our land, taking away our property, using our tax dollars against us, using debt against us. It's been done for hundreds of years, and they're still trying to do it. They will collapse this town. My wife and I spent money to move here. I have traveled all around the world, and we seem to think this is one of the nicest places that we've been to. And that's why we moved here and spent money to be here. And I'm proud to be here. And excuse me, I'd like you to just listen to what I'm saying.
I'm listening to
Okay,
you, but I also
thank you.
had a point of order that I needed to clarify.
Okay, well, you should have let me know that. You're talking right
I'm
now.
still listening.
I'm sorry, I just want you to know.
Point of order, you're out of order, Mr.
Please
Wiley.
continue.
I'm finished. I just thought I'd say that.
Thank you.
We don't need to take fake money and throw it on top of fake money.
All right,
Thank you.
Sir, you've already spoken once. If there's anyone else,
more to say.
sir,
Can I speak?
you've already spoken once. If there's anyone else that wishes to speak, they,
I'll yield to them,
Thank you.
but then I hope I can speak again.
there is a second public comment, sir.
You think you're so cute.
My name is Parker Helmberg, Ward 1. I'd like to salute my commissioner, Doug Engels. I was thinking about the belligerent comment. I was having a good chuckle over those. I personally helped to gather signatures. I didn't gather nearly as much as Ashley. That woman is a dynamo, so anytime she is on the opposite side of an issue of you want to look out. So thinking about myself as one of the belligerent ones, I was looking in the mirror wondering if that describes me. I teach literature and history at Will Carleton. I'm a veteran. I coach basketball. I think most people who know me here would describe me as pretty mild-mannered. I like to take silent walks through the park. I'm on the Shade Tree Commission. I like to try to befriend neighborhood kittens. So the belligerent description I don't think applies to me very well. But then I was thinking about it. There is actually a circular, twisted logic and a way in which it's right that we are belligerent, but we're belligerent because we're responding to outrageous things that are being done. So it can hardly be surprising that when you do outrageous things, people get angry. People get belligerent. So maybe there should be a little bit of introspection regarding why people are angry. Thank you.
I am Rose Zamadic, and I am on the Hillsdale Township and the County Planning Commission. And I have one question for you, Mr. Wiley. I would have to recuse myself if I'm affiliated with anything I am voting on. Why don't you?
Good morning, CJ Time Craig, City of Hillsdale. I have been running this through my head many ways, and it seems to me that we could solve a lot of problems and take all the pressure off you guys about the money and the citizens if we don't have the vote, because we don't need the vote, because it's pretty obvious what the answer is going to be. And the cost to put that on the ballot. The next thing would be move the district court to the big county, to the big courthouse, and do evening court to alleviate some of the issues that we're having. And that could be a temporary fix, but at least that's $15,000 a month in rent that they don't have to pay. That's a big ticket. and then let Lifeway stay where they're at and continue to pay rent until they decide what they wanna do. And it just seems like fiscally, that is the smartest thing to do. Get the pressure off. The taxpayers don't have any more money to donate. So, I don't know why this hasn't even been considered. Maybe it has been, but I've not heard of it. And, so make a resolution. Solve the problem. Get the bond. There should not even be a discussion about whether the bond is discussed anymore or not. It's a done deal. Lifeways is off the table. They don't want to do this, and neither do we. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bruno Cortez, I live in Doug's district. Chair of Commissioners, thank you. When I first came here a few weeks ago, I had some basic questions. I was opposed to the bond, but I was open to learning about whether it was a smart and responsible thing for the county to do, whether it made sense financially, whether the members of this board were all acting ethically and being able to vote for it, whether the bond would actually hold up over time. I don't feel like those questions ever really got answered. Maybe that's on me, but I don't think they're that complicated. But at this point, my question has changed because I've learned a lot since then about Lifeways and about the commissioners on this board. So thank you for this. In a way, it's been very enlightening, especially for someone like me who doesn't normally pay attention to local politics. So my questions now aren't about this specific bond anymore. It's not about Lifeways' survival. I don't think the bond is a good idea, and I no longer care if Lifeways survives, to be honest. My question now is about whether the public actually has any real say in decisions like this. You're elected officials, and yet most of you seem not to really care about what people think. You call them names, which is a strange approach for elected officials to take. So regardless of how this turns out, my question now is actually about accountability and more practically about how I can help fire the members of this board who seem to think they are accountable.
Anyone else that wishes to address the board at this time?
I will yield a minute of my time for this gentleman, and then I will speak.
Well, I'll be very brief.
Commissioner, our board rules and bylaws do not necessarily specify whether an individual can address the board again.
Can I quote?
We do
Rules
limit-
now.
We do limit
It'll
to 5
only
minutes,
take
and
15
we do not allow the yielding of one person's time to another.
Right, but can I, this is a question, this is obviously, I would assume not a part of my time, I'm asking a procedural question. Am I allowed to quote someone and then hear it directly from their mouth?
Yeah.
They don't mind say anything you like.
Go ahead.
They don't follow the rules, why should you?
My name is Elias McConnell, I live in Hillsdale, and I quote.
Oh. Okay, what I've got to say is we are not a minority, we're the tip of the iceberg.
Please continue, Mr. McConnell.
Thank you. Last time I shut this down, because I wanted these people to be able to be here comfortably, you to be here comfortably. I don't know about last two meetings, I've been sweating my behind off. I think I've already said in the past 2 meetings what I actually want to say. Just have a couple notes written down. I'm pretty sure the King of England probably thought the Boston Tea Party people were pretty belligerent. It's ironic that we're here in these chambers today. 2 years ago, 2026? Yeah, wow, time flies. In 2024, I was on Hillsdale City Planning Commission. I resigned at the end of that year. Life was getting too busy. I'm having more kids, building a house, stuff like that. My business is growing. And it was brought to us as a Planning and Zoning Commission, to give Lifeways the ability to build their building. All businesses do it. Aldi, Meijer, KFC, all of them. Small businesses that are just local to our town. And I was the swing vote. I voted to allow Lifeways to build their building. Now the reason for that was not a personal reason, but I believe that my sitting on Planning Commission for the City of Hillsdale was to enact the zoning ordinances that we had prescribed for our city. So I viewed it as I am a bureaucrat who is voting to allow something because it fits within our design for the city. They can build there. It makes sense to build there. There's other bureaucrats in our country who don't do that. We have the ATF, we have the IRS, we have all of these organizations that make laws when they're not the lawmakers. I'm not here to make procedures or do something like that. I'm here to vote on what it is my responsibility in the position that I sit in. At that vote, back in 2024, before all of these people were here, I still had communications and people telling me that they thought I should vote no. That was 2024. Most people didn't even know this was a thing until spring of 25. That's how long this belligerent few have been coming against this. And at that time, it wasn't even a thought of the county offering them anything. It was just they were going to build a building, and everyone went, okay, if you have money, go do what you want. You're sitting in a spot in which monuments are made to great men. Monuments can also be made to remind us of despicable men, of men without integrity. I would prefer those monuments not be made in Hillsdale. We'd rather remember good things about our community. Be the reason that good monuments are made, reminding us of our commissioners and our community. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the board at this time?
Bruce Caswell, I live at 8940 East Bacon Road, Hillsdale, Michigan. If I'm a little tipsy, it's because I have a tumor down in my ear and it's affecting my balance. I have not been drinking. I am here for one reason only. I was notified last night when we got home from I took my wife out to dinner for our 52nd wedding anniversary, that my name had popped up in some online thing, and I figured my name might be used over here, and I wanted to show up, and I wanted to set the record straight as exactly where I'm at. Now, as you all know, I'm on the Lifeways board, and as you all know, I have a mentally impaired son. What you may not know is I had a mother who, after my brother died, tried to commit suicide because she couldn't get help in county. What you may not know is that around the state of Michigan, rural Michigan, is badly mistreated in terms of behavioral health for their citizens. You can't get companies to come out to the rural areas, that being in the UP, or down here, or in northern lower Michigan, because there's not enough people to make it profitable for them. When I first was sent to the legislature, what I heard repeatedly from parents who had mentally impaired children, or mentally ill children, or physically impaired children, was that I'll take them here, and they tell me, no, that's a problem, you gotta take them over here. They take them over here, and they say, no, that's a problem, you gotta take them over there. They were bounced around in the system. The system did an extremely poor job of taking care of our most vulnerable citizens. Well, over the course of the last 25 years, the system has changed. And what we've now done in Michigan is we put together in one place behavioral health, mental health care, substance abuse health care. We also have the opportunity to put in place physical health care. Now you may ask why that's important. Well, it's important because many of the drugs that people take for their mental health care have serious side effects. And many of those people quit taking those drugs because of those side effects. And some of those people then start taking street drugs, thinking they can self-medicate, which just leads, as we all know, to more problems. These psychotropic drugs can also cause serious physical health problems, diabetes, excessive weight gain, and so on. So what we determined is it makes sense to have one place where people can go and get their physical health problems taken care of, their mental health problems taken care of, and their physical health problems taken care of, because they're all intertwined. They don't separate themselves out in neat little orders. Now, I was quoted accurately as to the questions I asked at a finance meeting. And I'm not ashamed of those questions, and I'll stand behind those questions, but those questions were answered. In 2018, when the good citizens of this county passed the millage for mental health care, people were told that anybody would be able to get health care, behavioral health care, mental health care, because of that millage. And that was true. Now, the dollars were limited, and anybody that came in that was not on Medicaid, because that's all that Lifeways could treat, was Medicaid people. Anybody else that came in, if they met criteria that they needed to be served, were served and paid for with those mental health dollars. Fast forward to what is being proposed today. This community-centered behavioral health clinic, I also don't hear so well. This community-centered behavioral health clinic is a one-stop shop. You can get everything taken care of there. Mental health, physical health, and substance abuse, all in one place. Okay? I wanted to make sure that I clearly understood exactly what this was going to mean in terms of the mental health millage and the dollars and what people have been promised. And so I asked the questions, and I would ask them again, quite frankly. And the response that came back was very simple. Under the new system, everybody will be able to access these health care, this type of health care in the county, for the first time in the history of this county.
Time's up, Bruce. I said your time's up.
I didn't realize there was a time limit. Thank you very much.
I think we all want to hear what Bruce has to say.
Yes. Can you let him talk?
I believe our rules allow for the board to allow a speaker. I would move that we allow Senator Caswell to continue the remainder of his comments to the board.
I second.
Motion on the floor.
I get the...
Supported. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
I believe it passes 4-1. Mr. Cadwell, please continue. You have been allowed an extension.
Thank you. Very humbling. Thank you, Commissioners. So, the questions I asked led to this conclusion. Everybody will be able to get health care, mental health care, physical health care, and substance abuse health care at this clinic, and it will be paid for. Now, under the new system, if you have private insurance, Medicare, Medicare Advantage, which is what I've got, private insurance, an HSA, that will pay. If you don't have insurance, the mental health millage will cover you. And if you're on Medicaid, you'll be covered just like you were before. That's what's gonna happen. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Because the mental health dollars were limited before. We treated who we could treat, but we couldn't treat everybody. Now we'll be able to treat everybody. And I think that's a good thing. So the questions I asked were to draw that out and to come to that conclusion. Now, commissioners, I saw many examples in my life. Mental illness does not pick and choose between the wealthy and the poor. Mental illness does not choose between men and women. It's there and can come on anybody at any time. When we have a traumatic event in our life, we need help. And I, for one, am not going to turn away from somebody that needs help. Now, having said all that, I think the CCBHC will be the best thing that ever happened to this county. Because everybody, for the first time, will be able to get the care that they need when they need it. Now, commissioners, I'm not going to tell you how to vote on this building. That's your call. Okay, I can tell you that in my life I've taken many tough votes. And I probably ticked off some people. Well, I know I've ticked off some people along the way. Okay? But you get paid the big bucks to make that call. We are a representative democracy. That means you represent the people in your district. You make the call. Now, at the end of the day, Michigan has off-ramps. If people don't like the call you made, they can go out and get petitions signed and get it put on the ballot. If people don't like the call you made, they can recall you if they get enough signatures. There's all kinds of off-ramps. But at the end of the day, you have to make that decision. And I would encourage you to do that. However you decide, I have the utmost respect for you, and I will live with whatever you decide. But I urge you to make it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an OMA violation. You have to allow everybody the same amount of time.
Next person, please.
Steve Lanius from Jonesville. I've spoken here numerous times. I've made my point clear. This board is not a banking institution. Mr. Caswell made some good points. But one thing is for sure, it's not the building that provides the needs for the people. It's the people that run the establishment within the building. A building is just a place to gather together. This building has nothing to do with whether or not Lifeways can carry out their duties to the citizens of the county. But the citizens of the county don't owe Lifeways this building. So, rather than just continue on, I just urge you, it's a very simple resolution, and this issue is done. But I'd also like to remind Mr. Caswell that we are a compound republic. All right? And our votes count. I voted this down in 2024, and here's the reason why I voted it down. Thank you.
So I think you guys are done here. You should probably resign or something. Like, nobody here wants you as the representatives. Could you save us some time and recalls and all this effort and just leave us alone? We can put somebody else in your position. It's not difficult. We can have it done next month. There's nothing on this agenda. You can quickly pay the bills real quick and then resign, and we can get this all taken care of. I do appreciate you letting Bruce Bruce speak. He should have been allowed to speak since he was on the Lifeways board, and that all happened. What he neglected to mention, though, was that one of his questions was asking whether the tax money for the bond, the language or whatever, it's not being used correctly now. Could you guys address that a little further? Maybe explain that to everybody? Why are we being taxed when apparently the money usage has changed? Do you guys care about that at all? So there's more issues than just this Lifeways thing too. You got your courthouse issue. The solar threat isn't just in Fayette. It's affecting, it's gonna affect, it's affecting many other townships in this county. You guys have the ability to do something about that. I don't think you guys have said one word on it. You have 3-hour meetings twice a month. Nothing ever gets done. You have it at 9 o'clock so nobody can show up. The number of people that have told me they would like to be here today would fill this room 10 times, if not more. Mr. Leininger, you're on this board, you're on the school board. You try to run a party that nobody recognizes.
Yes.
Common denominator. I've seen rooms filled at all these meetings that you attend and sit on. Against you every time. I would like to congratulate you though, because you've done something that very few people can do. You got a whole county mad at you and involved now. Good luck.
Good morning, I'm Father Stephen Allen. I live in Hillsdale City in District 1. To impose the yoke and burden of this iniquitous bond on our children and grandchildren would be very, very wicked.
Yes.
The thing to do is kill this thing right away with an absolute resolve that it's dead forever. If you don't have the fortitude or morality or intelligence to do this, at least let your fellow citizens vote on it, so their moral rectitude and intelligence will make up for your lack.
Yeah.
No to the bond.
Is there anyone else?
Yeah, I will. Go ahead. I got a chair.
Tom Lennox, I live in just outside of Jonesville. I guess I wouldn't want to be in your guys' shoes. It's not sounding good. You guys were elected to listen to the people in your districts. It doesn't get done, obviously. I guess I look at Mr. Leininger, you're a farmer. If you go to the bank and you tell them, hey, I gotta buy a $200,000 combine or $300,000, but everything is good if I get the money, and then if I can't pay the payment, who in the heck's gonna pay the payment? You're gonna lose it. These people here, if you let this bond go through, which obviously it sounds like Lifeways has already said, forget it. You know, there's just too much crap going on. Let's just drop it. But yet, somebody here is pushing this issue, okay? If they build a building and they default on a payment or two. Oh, well, that's okay. The people in the public out here, they're gonna take care of it for us. Does that work with you, farming? No, it doesn't. I know, I farm. Nobody, I can't go and tell these people, hey, look, I'm losing my ass because I can't make the payment because I misspent the money and stuff like that. And obviously, you guys sitting right here know that there's gonna be a problem down the road, but yet you just kick the can down the road, and we'll worry about that when we get there. Well, let me tell you what, it doesn't work that way. I think if I was you, I would step back and I would just eliminate this and pick up and go and look at what's happening in Hillsdale County. With all this, I'll bring it up, the solar, okay? Don't we have representatives to stop this stuff? You know, nobody thinks about what can happen. Look at all your farmland you're losing, just on the solar. You know, I guess I look at this solar project, people don't really understand exactly what solar does. Here's an example. The solar that they're putting in right now, and this 1,300 or 1,400 acres that they want more, won't even take care of half of Jonesville. Won't even take care of it. I have checked on solar because I farm and I have water floats. 1,500 watts just to keep that water tank open. I checked, it'll take 20 panels to run that little water float. I think that you people in Hillsdale County, representing Hillsdale County, you got bigger fish to fry than worrying about paying somebody else's bills. And I know that, Mr. Benson, I know that your business, if you default on yours, is anybody gonna pay yours? No. It's just like anybody else. What you have to do is you have to listen to these people out here, because that's what's happening in America. The only time people listen is when it's time for you guys to get voted back in. That's the only time you listen, obviously. I mean, I don't just go to meetings just to throw crap out there or start anything. I listen to all the people. I sit back and I listen to all the people and stuff like that, you know. And these people in Hillsdale County have got a point. And you people really, really need to listen to it. And I've known Mr. Ingalls for years, too. So,
Time's up, sir.
I'm just saying, drop it and be done with it,
Thank
and
you.
walk away and take care of Hillsdale County's other problems.
Next comment, or next public comment.
Good morning, Todd Gold, squawker from Hillsdale Township. It is
What was your
obvious.
name again, please?
Todd Gold.
Thank you.
It's obvious that words are not going to dissuade you from backing this bond. Threats will not work, empathy will not work, cajoling will not work. And it's because you are prideful. And pride can be a good thing, and pride can be a bad thing. And I'm reminded of a client of mine who was on his parish board of directors, and they had to take a vote to close the parish school. And there were many parents against it. It was convenient, it was close, they trusted the quality of the education, but he voted to close it. His was the deciding vote because it was the right thing to do fiscally. And he couldn't avoid that. So he voted to close the school, they closed it, And he went to sleep knowing it was the right thing to do. The little bit of pride that may be guiding your decisions to back the bond cannot compare to the positive pride you're going to feel when you do the right thing for the right reason. And I'm not begging. I'm asking you simply to do the right thing for the right reason for the 43,000 people of this county who are counting on you and your diligence to do the right thing. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Next, please.
Good morning. Janice Plummer, live in Hillsdale. I've heard many people say that when we're unhappy with our elected officials, there are ways to correct that, and the main way is at the ballot and in voting someone else in. I just have to say my gut says in Hillsdale County that may not always work, because I don't truly in my heart believe that our elections are truly ethical. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board at this time?
Hello, my name is Donna Marsh, reading Hillsdale County. I have some resources I really want to address we the people at this time. My resources that I've been working with for a couple of years now, and I'm finding that the more I address our township meetings and the more I learn about constitutional law, the more I need to get out there and share my resources. One of the resources that we really need to go to is the Midwesterner. It's a news broadcast on your Wi-Fi. These days, not much of us watch the television anymore, hopefully. So go online for the Midwesterner. They do have a state, local, national, across America commentary. They've got some really great reporters there. They do speak on all of these data centers, solar energy things, the way these big money companies come in and overpower our townships and change zoning rules. And they come in and have this stuff creep into our communities very fast. One of the things I also want to bring up is the Michigan Opens Meeting Act, the OMA, and it's a notebook or a guideline for all open meeting, public meetings that our boards need to be following. And there's an online training website to go to, and that all you need to do is type in Open Meetings Act, Michigan, Grand Rapids, and the best one I found is Foster Swift. I do have a few flyers here with some of these resources on. The next one, I'm sorry, I'm not a very good public speaker, I'm very nervous. Hopefully I get past that. The Michigan General Jural Assembly of Michigan is a great resource with remedy. We get back to learning how to, the Constitution of the land, the law of the land, and following the constitutional rules and regulations, and also the Bill of Rights. Slowly our rights have been taken from us, and it's about time that we learn what our rights are. And even our flags, the flag run here is with the gold fringe, that's Admiralty law. That is democratic, and we are not Democrat, we are Republican America. So I urge you to pick up some of these flyers with these resources on, get in touch with the Michigan General Bureau. The real one, the one that We don't have very many. They got, they did a coup a couple of years ago. We're still at getting that brought to justice. We're in the process of getting those criminals vetted out, and justice is coming for them. But anyway, we have a small group, and we've been working very hard at putting together some documents that will go to the President of the United States along with the War Department. We're working very hard and very diligently on these things. It's about time we learned how to take our rights back and learn common law of the land. We do not go with this law of the sea. This is not us. We're God's people. We walk on the land. We're men and women. We're not persons. We're not owned by this corrupt system. And it's about time we hold our counties and our townships and our city halls to the OMA and follow those guidelines so that we all are heard. It's about we the people. We count. They're our servants. We have to hold them to be servants, and when they're not doing their job, they need to be removed. I thank you for your time. Stop and see me. I'm the one with the orange notebook. If you would like some resources, I have some cards and some flyers for you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Talk about proud. I'm proud of that.
What was your name again, please?
My name is Fred Marsh. That was my upper half, Donna. She says her nads are bigger than mine. She's right. If it wasn't for her, I would not be standing here today talking about this country and the Constitution for the United States, not of, it's for the United States. The Constitution, First Amendment, first clause is, we, the people, hold all the power. You are our servants. We voted for you to do the right thing. I've been keeping an eye on what's going on with this Lifeway stuff and what's going on in Fayette Township. They're getting stuff shoved down their throats. It looks like it's happening here too. And I don't know Mr. Ingles personally, but what I've heard about the rest, I'm glad I don't know yet. I'm from reading. So the First Amendment is, like I said, we the people hold all the power first. And it's also in the Michigan Constitution. It's we the people hold all the power. That's what our forefathers gave to us. Thank you.
Christian Winter, Hillsdale. So I was trying to reflect on Mr. Wiley's comments about what we have here is really just a vocal minority. And how, I was trying to put myself in his shoes. How could he say that when it seems, based on previous meetings and this one, that that's not the case? And just, it seems false. Well, what could your possible reasons be? Well, I thought maybe you're thinking about the millage back in 2018. That was passed by a majority of the voters. Okay? That's 2018. This is 2026. That's 8 years later. People's minds change over 8 years. Moreover, what was on the millage is not what we're considering today. We're considering backing a bond. That was about a millage or something else. People have raised the concerns with the millage language, moreover. I don't think that's a fair comparison for what the populace actually thinks today. It was too long ago, it was a different matter, and if we're going to try to represent the will of the people, we need to represent the majority of the people, and looking to 2018 as a guide for that is not the way to understand the public. Well, why else, Mr. Wiley, might you say that the majority of the people want this? Perhaps when you talk to your friends or those that you associate with, your political allies, perhaps they are all in support of that. That might be the case. However, many people here talk to their friends and their political allies and don't find any or perhaps few people who are actually in support of backing this bond. So then how do we come to a conclusion about what the people actually think? How do we understand? We don't have opinion polling across the county.
what sort of measures or means do we have to ascertain what the people actually want? Because perhaps you've spoken with your friends or your political allies and think, no, it seems like most people around me actually want this. Well, most people here do not. So how do we actually understand what the people want? Well, good news, we have a measure for that. We can put it on the ballot so that people themselves can actually vote. We don't have to guess based on our political silos. Oh, this is what the people want. I know because my friends want it. Perhaps the people here are in the minority. That is certainly possible. Let's see. Let's put it to the people and have a vote. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to comment at this time?
Bob Eichler. As much as you guys talk about the voting, these tabulators have got to go. I don't care how you guys want to sit and talk about votes. Votes don't mean crap if you can't sit there and have a machine tell somebody has changed the algorithms. If this is astonishing. We could all sit here and do this little box thing, set it in every one of our townships at a hell of a lot less cost to getting the votes, the real votes of the people, not a tabulator to tabulate, and yet you want to go into a machine, it'll change everything. If you guys want a phone, you can see how it changes. You can see all the different comments made on banking and so on. Come on, people, we need to stop using tabulators completely. Abe Dane has adjusted the idea that we have to get a contract for 10 years with these tabulators. We don't need it. We need to go back to the real system. That's real people walking up to vote with a thumbprint, with their ID, period. But definitely not with these tabulators. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. They're not arguing.
Any other comment at this time, please?
James Edward Thomas, 2200 Bar Street, Hillsdale Township. I guess I was able to catch part of the Adams Township meeting where the Adams Township supervisor asked Commissioner Benzing what would and should happen if Lifeways were to in any way cease to exist. And the answer that I seem to understand was it's our building now. I guess there could be benefit in that, but that seems like a unplanned for expense, and I know in my household when I have an unplanned for expense, it's brutal. It's hard to deal with. So I think maybe if decisions can be made either through the ballot or through the decision-making process of the board to avoid that kind of liability on our community, I think that that's probably the wise thing to do. That's the thing I would do if I was sitting in your seat. It's not taped on your site, so this meeting isn't on the county site, the best I could find, in recording on YouTube, nor is it on the city site, so it's not. Thank you very much for the people broadcasting this. I think that's really important, and I think that transparency is really critical when you're making really big decisions like this. And it's my opinion that if we had a county board of ethics, a lot of the swirling or accusations or whatever that go around big decisions like this would be mediated out in that, in that body. And then there wouldn't be an ability for people to come up to this podium in these meetings logically and actually make those accusations if they were untrue. So I think, and I hope, that you guys will really think about setting up a county board of ethics. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.